All right, I'm starting out with a piece of maple here. It's about 9 inches across at the widest point. And what I did is I traced out a maple leaf on it and I'm cutting it out on the bandsaw. And I know if I had a thinner blade, it might be a little bit easier, but it worked out. Yeah, I ripped the shop apart trying to find a thinner blade, but I couldn't find one. So I have this giant resaw blade on here. It actually worked kind of nice. I was able to kind of smooth out the cuts with it, just kind of move it back and forth across it, and it worked pretty well. So this is a beautiful piece of maple, and it just has some great quilting in it. It is just gorgeous. You'll see once I get to the end and get some oil on it. So it's about 2 inches thick, maybe a little bit more. Help support the companies that support our community. So first thing I'm going to do is drill a hole down through the center of it and put it onto the worm screw. So I mounted that in the chuck. We'll get this all locked on there, and then we'll bring down the outside of it and put a recess in the bottom of it. So when you're doing something like this, just go nice and slow. Try and keep your tool nice, smooth, even cut, because you're cutting a lot of air out on the ends there. And I have the lathe speed running about 2,000. So this is the bottom of the bowl. So those little tips and everything are still pretty thick. So it's not as critical after we flip it around and you're cleaning out the inside of it. But just be careful. Just take nice cuts, and I'm using a bowl gouge. Now that we have that shape of the bowl, I'm going to go ahead and switch over and make a recess in it so we can unscrew this and remount it to that chuck using the recess. So I'm going to start with a parting tool here, make a nice shoulder on it, and dovetail it in just a little bit so it's got a nice good contact. And then I'll switch to the easy rougher to clean out the middle of it. Once I have all of that done, I'll go ahead and run through all the grits on this. So I start out with the lathe on to get the stuff that's running true, and then as I was going through the grits, I turn the lathe off and sand all the little points on the leaves separately, so it didn't sand down one side more than the other. All right, we'll get this off of here and get it remounted. The bottom of it is completely done. It's sanded all the way up to 600 at this point. And then we'll just expand the jaws for that recess. So the inside, this is where you need to be a little more careful, because those wings are the little tips on there are gonna get really thin. So be careful, go nice and slow, make sure the tool is running clean and smooth along there, make sure it's sharp. And again, the lathe speed is still about 2,000 RPMs. So I just kept working at this and got it all cleaned out. I would just keep shutting the lathe off, make sure the wall thickness was even all the way down. And the only one that's really, that I was really concerned about was this actual stem of the leaf. The other ones are pretty thick, even when they're, when the wall thickness is down there. It's that stem that's sticking way out there. And once I got it all cleaned out and even, I went ahead and sanded it. And on the inside, I power sanded it just because it's, I have to do those little wings and everything too. So it was just easier to put sandpaper on a little sponge pad and then just go back and forth between the center and the wings. Make sure it's all cleaned up. So, and then I went around and just hand sanded all the edges. Just kept rotating around. This part right here took me the most amount of time, is sanding all those little points. And then I'm putting walnut oil on a maple leaf, but it made it pop. The grain on this piece is just amazing. I got this piece of wood at the Oregon Woodturning Symposium from Kim. I will put a link down below in the description to his shop. But it was just a beautiful piece of maple. There we go. The oil's all soaked into it. So again, it is out of maple. It is just a beautiful piece of maple and has a lot of great character in it. And I mentioned in the video too that I got it from Kim at the Oregon Woodturning Show. I will put a link to his website down below in the description. So it was just a beautiful piece. So it's 9 inches from those tips right there and about 2 inches thick. So anytime you're doing something where it's has voids in it like this, I always turn the speed up on the lathe because it's easier to cut when it's spinning a little bit faster than if it was a solid piece of wood. And that was really the only one that I was kind of worried about because it was getting kind of thin. So I make sure when you set your tool up there, just make sure you run it right along the tool rest. I have my finger underneath it and just guide it right down anytime you're doing something like this. But fun project. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video. Everybody take care, and we will see you next time.